everybody. Welcome to another Friday night pro football talk. And I'm going to bring the panelists in right now tonight because it's an all-star lineup we got here. We got a lot to talk about, so little time. So it's great, wonderful guest here. You know who's been on most of my football shows this year? Ash Singh. Hey, Ash.
Hey, how's it going? Wait, I've been on most of your football shows?
You've been quite a few. You've been the most common
Me of all
guest.
people who's like barely a sports person?
Yes. Yes. But hey, thank you for being here as always, Ash. It's always great to have you. And then I got the two powerhouse all-stars of YouTube here. Honored to be with these guys. My regular Friday night co-host with Clobberin Times. How are you, Clobby?
Hey, buddy. Good to see you, man. I am so honored to be here with my old buddy Ash and the great culture, casino culture. Always good to be hanging with you, buddy. And hello, chat.
And always great to have Culture in his busy schedule coming to crash with us. How are you today, Culture?
I'm happy. I'm overjoyed. I'm glad to be here. Like I said, I've been looking forward to this one. I'm glad that I cut out a slice of time so I could be here and I get to hang out with one of the best voices on YouTube. Probably not undervalued is Esh here, and of course Mikey with his gravelly voice. I feel like he's going to come through here and clobber me.
No. I grovel.
Oh, there you go. Well, it's always an honor to have you guys. And what really has happened with this stream is that it just, a few weeks ago, college football had ended, the national championship had happened, needed to get some a football fix in. And Clobby was, we were in his chats, a lot of it sometimes just kind of hinting at pro football. We're like, hey, let's just do it. And it just started at the end of the regular season and then through the playoffs. Been some interesting matchups. I mean, pretty good playoff season, really. But to lead into the game, we'll talk about the game towards the end. But I think, and what are your thoughts with this? When you look at it, both number one seeds and both conferences advanced, it's probably the best matchup on paper. What do you think?
Sure.
So, yep, absolutely. So let's say hi to the chat really quick. See who's in here right now. We've got quite a few. See the great Snortapoopas Cuber. Hello, humans and other critters. Always great to see Snortapoopas here. Brian Hepburn. Hey, Brian.
Brian.
Absolutely. Hey, he's been hanging out a lot around here. O.C. Dobbins. Hollis. Hey. Great to have you. Theme Park Casual. Hey, kids. Thank you for calling us kids. I think we like that at our age, don't we?
Yes.
But I
technically am a kid.
Yeah, you're already a kid, Ash.
Well, that's what's old, but thanks, Ash.
Oh, gosh, I skipped. How can I skip this beautiful woman? Mrs. Dadman Walking 55, who is the technical and everything else on this operation. Thank you. Always great to have her here.
Your dinner will now be cooked rather than thrown to be frozen. So well done there, Dad.
Exactly. And this from the Mr. Ash. Hey,
go Pats.
Go Patriots, let's go.
I'm pretty sure they're not playing this week. Sorry, I'm just gonna
go
home.
I'll still fly my team. It's all right.
There you go. And we got Shooter. Hi, all. Will be lurking.
Hey, Shoot.
Of course, we got Culture, and we got. Wow, quite a few people in the chat tonight. Hey, everybody saying hello. But hey, thank you for everybody here. We got 10 here right now. We got people. We're streaming both on the Twitch side and YouTube. So follow us over on Twitch. Subscribe, like the video here on this side. And yes, the not so secret mastermind. Yes, I have to. I especially when we stream Fortnite, I gotta have her around. She's golden. She's golden. Oh, yeah. You should see. I posted a short the other day. Tweeted out a short. We were playing, and she just destroyed the whole town with a car and blowing up gas stations.
Ouch!
It's here, Ash, for you. The Patriots are so good they will win without
absolutely.
Even being
yes, absolutely.
We're
just that good of a team.
Ash doing the 80 for Brady marathon all weekend. Oh man, that movie.
Wait, are you saying the Patriots don't need Brady? Is that what you're trying to say there, Ish?
No, they're I think they don't need Tom Brady anymore, do they?
Are you really going to watch that movie with Jane Kami Fonda in that thing?
Hanoi Jane.
Hanoi Jane, yeah, good one. That's right. Just curious.
I haven't even seen the Bend It Like Beckham film either.
There you go.
So
how about the Kurt Warner movie with Captain Shazam Boy in it?
No.
That actually looks pretty good though.
Yeah, it might be good. Yeah.
I barely watch sports as it is, let alone sports films.
Well, you know who Beckham is. You know who Tom Brady is. That you know more than a lot of other people.
Well, Beckham used to be like one of the biggest names in real football, not soccer.
And
Not
soccer,
the dreaded S word.
ball.
Oh, Snore Poopas is having a glass of OJ for the occasion. No idea how they got him in the juicer. Oh man, bud. Oh gosh, that's a good one. I gotta say a special hi to somebody. OG Sammy P. This is a nephew of mine. Oh. This is the kid that was 2 years old throwing M&Ms at me the night I met my wife.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. How he's grown up. Now he's making dinner for his wife. Good. Nice. Glad you're here lurking, buddy. And let's say hello to Rotocommish. Yo.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hey, yo.
Welcome here.
Hey.
And he's like, yeah. I remind Sammy of that all the time. Throwing the M&Ms at me. It took more to run me off than that. No, the crazier thing was the time I took donuts when we were before we were engaged. Actually, I put the hot Krispy Kreme donuts down. All the women in her family threw me out of the way to get to the donuts. It was crazy. It was like,
well, the hot Krispy Kreme, man. Why not?
I know exactly priorities. And hey, we got somebody else here. Small Town Republic. Hey, I think Kelsey will win the Super Bowl
on his own.
Well,
I mean, like he'll just throw the ball to himself.
There will be a Kelsey on the winning team.
One on both teams.
That's true.
Yes. No, that's an awesome thing. Nice prediction there.
I wish there was a prop bet for that. 100% win rate right there.
Oh yeah. Well, it's guaranteed money. They're not going to let people bet on that. They won't make money.
It's a minus 110, Dad. Man.
Okay. There you go. You got to pay to win. I got you now.
The house got to cut.
Hey, here's the quote the missus here. Here's the quote the missus. You do not get between the women in my family and a Krispy Kreme donut.
I bet not.
That's a fair call.
And say hi to Real Wade Nation. Hey, Wade.
Hey.
So let's start off with this. We were talking backstage about some of the things and earliest memories. Ash, throw in as you can and where you can. Let me actually start with you, Ash. How familiar are you with the Super Bowl?
What's a Super Bowl?
It's a bowl.
It's a bowl that's pretty super. No, I'm fairly familiar with it. I mostly try to keep an eye on like the adverts and the halftime show because that's when all like the big movie adverts come out. But like the Super Bowl is just fucking huge. So like I do try to keep track of like who won and stuff like that. Maybe I'll catch a few highlights every now and then. But I'm not like an avid watcher of sport. Like I said earlier, it's sports in general. But sometimes I will for the Super. I mean, it's the Super Bowl. Like, come on. So yeah.
Do you know? Do you guys know, by the way, why it's called the Super Bowl? Anyone know?
Because it's a bowl that's super. I already covered it.
Okay. Well, in that case, there's an origin story.
Wasn't that because of the former owner of the Raiders, who's no longer with us, wanted to have a championship game between the AFL and the NFL?
Well, it was actually Super Bowls 1 and 2 are only retroactively such. They were both called the World Champions of Football. Lamar Hunt, the owner of the Chiefs, was trying to find different names for it. He wanted to have this bowl, or like he came up with a few different ones. And there was this popular toy at the time that his daughter had called a Super Ball. It was a ball that bounced for line, all kind of stuff. He saw that name, and eventually, Super Bowl III, they started calling it that. Now, I've been at the NFL Hall of Fame in the Super Bowl section. They have that actual ball there. And there's that little story there. Ooh, I loved it. I had a great time at the NFL Hall of Fame in Canton. I want to go back.
Yeah. Canton's a cool place. I mean, you ever get a chance to stay in Columbus and make the drive towards Cleveland to Canton? I did that a couple times. Went to Cleveland Clinic to interview with some heart doctors there, but it's that the Football Hall of Fame is well worth the trip.
You've been to? It's great, man. I love it. Yeah, I'm about 2015. I was going to Dragon Con, but I took a couple extra days. I drove up to Metropolis, Illinois, to go to the Superman Museum, and then drove another 10 hours across to Canton to just hang out by myself at the place I always wanted to go. I didn't want to pass without at least going once to the NFL Hall of Fame, and on a day when there was almost nobody there but me, so that was a lot of fun. And I was there for hours and hours, and we just loved it. Love to go back.
That is awesome. Yeah, it's one of those locations that you better stop if you're anywhere near it, because how many times you get to that side of the country. Yeah. So, well, let me ask you guys this question, because it started with Ash, and Ash, dig into your memory too. What is the first Super Bowl that you remember watching, or what are your memories from probably the first Super Bowl?
We visited a little bit about this backstage. Mine was 1978, so that would have been the Cowboys in Denver. We were kind of visiting about that a little bit backstage, and you would be surprised how many times the Cowboys had been in a Super Bowl in that particular set of years. But that it was just a game. I was saying backstage, I said I think my dad did pretty well in that game, but there were a couple prop bets he didn't do very well on. And of course, I come from a family that bets sports, so that's part of the tradition when it comes to college and professional football. But man, that game was incredibly memorable. It wasn't close. The score makes it even look closer than it was. I don't know, Clobby, what do you remember?
Well, that was many things from that one. That was I remember that Craig Morton, who had previously been with the Cowboys quarterback before he was ousted by Roger Staubach and declared, he'd made a brief stop with the Giants, and then he ended up in Denver, like a new life, the Orange Crush, and he was the starter for Denver, but he got hurt. And they replaced him with Norris Weiss, who was just a rookie, not really good. Who was wearing Morton's old Dallas number 14. But anyway, both teams were really kind of sloppy in that game. And as I was talking to Dadman about this earlier, they had the only one that ever had a co-MVP, and it was two defensive linemen. Was it Randy White and Harvey Martin that you were right there, Dadman? But the game was filled with bad. It was in New Orleans, as many Super Bowls had been at that point. But I had the comic book Dallas. There was a Christian comic book called Tom Landry and the Dallas Cowboys, and that chronicles that. They did one when he won his first Super Bowl, Super Bowl VI, against the Dolphins, and then this one, when he won this one, they recolored the Dolphins to be the Broncos. So and I remember the Orange Crush, was a huge phenomenon throughout the league in 1977. Which the Super Bowl was played in 78, but it was the 77 season. Yep. It was a big phenomenon up there.
Super Bowl 12, I think.
Yes, sir.
Yep, it was Super Bowl 12, and I believe I was trying to look for the stats real quick to see, but I believe both Denver quarterbacks really were below 50%.
Terrible.
That's how dominant that Dallas defense was.
The doomsday defense. That's what they were called. That they were just
doomsday defense,
monsters.
and like Clobby said, it's the first time you had co-MVPs, and both were defensive linemen, Randy White and Harvey Martin, on the Dallas defensive line.
And honestly, I mean, this was during a period of transition for the NFL. Historically, when you saw more forward passing rather than the rushing that they had relied on heavily, and you had the quarterbacks that could do it back then. And as you progressed on from 78 forward, when you get into the period of time and as where the Super Bowl games were dominated by quarterbacks like Terry Bradshaw, Roger Staubach, because that very next year was Cowboys and
Steelers for rematch.
Rematch. Yeah, and it was amazing to see that Super Bowl because you would have expected Dallas to come out on top with Tony Dorsett and all this talent that they had, but man, Terry didn't have to complete. What did he throw? He threw like 9 complete passes in that Super Bowl, and
he had like 4 touchdown passes or something.
Yeah, they were effective though.
Yeah. He threw a lot of balls.
But, culture that Super Bowl. I rewatched that Super Bowl quite a bit. That's 13 between the Steelers and the Cowboys. And one of the things that always impresses me about it is you could count up to players and including both coaches, something like almost over 20 Hall of Famers on that field for that game. That's insane.
Exactly.
For one game, both teams combined. That's crazy.
Let me say hello to Lilybird and Lisa.
Hey.
Hi. Welcome, Lisa. Welcome, Lilybird.
Hey.
Glad y'all are here. Let me just throw that in real quick.
Are they the same person?
Yes.
Yeah. But hey, it's awesome. There you go. We'll get that algorithm. Hey.
Algorithm.
Yes. But here's the stats on that game. Morton was 4 of 15 for 39 yards.
It was dismal.
4 interceptions.
Wow. It was bad.
And Norris Reese was 4 of 10 for 22 yards. Yeah.
Oh.
So that's how bad the game was. And it was so bad that even Robert Newhouse threw a touchdown pass.
Robert Newhouse threw a big touchdown pass. Robert Newhouse was underrated, man. He was because that was the first year Dorsett played, but he was always a great fullback, blocking back who ran the ball well, caught the ball a lot, and like I said, threw it. Gino Carano's father played on that Cowboys team earlier in that season.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the Carano family has some money. He just definitely
he got into one game. He got into one game on Thanksgiving or something.
Well, I'll tell you, that was funny that Culture picked that game when we talked about it backstage, because that's the first I would have been technically 7 at that point, but that's the first Super Bowl that I actually remember watching, and I remember how good.
Damn,
but then the next year the Cowboys go and they lose to the Steelers. That was the Jackie Smith drop game, and
13. That was in Miami. That was played in Miami.
In America. That's right.
What I want to say was Culture. You're right. How as a Cowboy fan, they appeared 5 times in the 70s.
I know,
thought you were on top of the world, but the dang Steelers kept kicking their butt with an average Terry Bradshaw. It didn't matter how bad his numbers were, but in the playoffs and the Super Bowl, he excelled.
He still beat him. And then that flipped, right? Because we get to the 80s and then the Cowboys are winning, right? So it's like it was
the
90s.
Yeah, sorry, you're right. Yeah. It was really weird. But yeah, man, football was so great back then. And again, those years, 70s. The 70s were that period, like from 76, 77 on. That's when the forward pass started to really make a difference in the game, and you stopped seeing as many rushes, right? The running backs became less and less, not less important, but they less utilized is probably the right way to put it. We still had them, still superstars.
Yeah. But. The Cowboys were the only team of the 70s, only NFC team to win a Super Bowl, instead they won 2. Everything, all AFC dominated.
Yeah,
the 70s.
It's funny how that goes in cycles, Yep,
because NFC kind of took over the 80s a little bit in the 90s.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of Super Bowl memories, how about one of these here? OC Dobbins reminds us about the Super Bowl shuffle.
Yeah.
There's a video of that out there, Ash, from the 84. It was 84 Bears?
85 Bears.
85 Bears.
Yeah, dude, in the fridge, man.
Ooh.
Refrigerated cherry.
I hated the Super Bowl shuffle. I was rooting for them that year until they did that. And I was like, I hate them now. I hope they lose, because we knew they
Oh, come on, man. Jim McMahon was a class act.
No, yeah, was he?
Nobody.
It's funny now.
Here's the thing. Nobody knew about his eye sensitivity and the fact that he had to wear sunglasses most of the time because he had eye problems. Most people don't know that.
I didn't know that either until that
He could
happened.
launch a pretty decent deep ball, but he was not like a great quarterback or anything.
Yeah. Here
He
you
ended up on a
go.
lot of teams.
Tom Brady was franchise who would have the most Super Bowl wins, 7. Hey, how about that? Yep.
He would. That's true.
Yeah. Because because I was actually speaking of that number, about the number of Super Bowl winners. Pittsburgh, New England both have 6 wins.
Whoop, whoop.
So there you go, Ash.
Otto Graham won 7 way before he did.
Yeah.
He was gunning. Tom was gunning for somewhere between 8 and 10. That was his goal. So
he wanted to pass Otto because Otto had 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
But considering he was an average quarterback at Michigan, come out very lowly drafted, I think 6th round maybe.
Way past that, yeah. Way late.
He was almost Mr. Irrelevant, if I remember correctly. Yeah,
close.
But to come out and go from that to have such a career and a limelight, it's just amazing. Forget.
Yeah, thank the truck rule.
Yep. That was his rookie year too.
There were 2 calls in that game that were bad. That was in the favors of the bad
Raiders.
guys. Yeah, the bad guys there.
The truck rule's weird. Bad calls are one thing. The truck rule was weird, man.
Hey, well, listen. What about the snow game against the Dolphins, where the New England Patriots, that's your team there, to a game-winning field goal, drove the little snowplow out there to clear a spot off for the kicker to kick.
Driven by a convict.
Yeah.
Driven by a convict out on furlough by Michael Dukakis.
Yeah, and I do think, he and Drew Henson split time at Michigan. Brian Hepburn says the first one he remembers was the Raider winning Super Bowl 11 in 77.
Oh, man, Willie. Yep.
Yeah, that's Oakland, Minnesota. Yep, crushed Minnesota.
Well, I'm old because the first one I remember, believe it or not, is very, very vaguely remember a bit of Super Bowl III.
Yeah, let's see.
Just the guarantee.
Hi, Jess. Yeah, let me see. Super Bowl III. It was in the Orange Bowl. The Jets in Baltimore.
Another Miami game.
Wasn't that the one where they had a picture of Joe Namath out by the pool? Glamour. Yeah.
Everybody. They, Miami's had more Super Bowls than anybody, but down here in New Orleans had the second most. But they've had something like 11 Super Bowls, something Miami, something like that. Yeah, they really, especially, it's funny, back in the 70s, I think also they really rotated between Miami, New Orleans, and Pasadena. That they seem to have a lock on those few cities. Now it seems like the trend is towards Arizona or even more Atlanta and other places that have the dome stadiums because of weather.
Well, and weather, yeah. They not only do they want a dome just in case there's inclement weather, they also want warm weather cities. It makes sense. I mean, you don't want your most important game of the year held in the mud. It's not a lot of fun. I can't. What Super Bowl was it where it was the Fog Bowl?
Fog Bowl was a playoff game in Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want that. I mean, that's not fun to watch. It's just, and you don't want playing in the slop. I mean, how many times on Soldier Field was a game decided because people were slipping and sliding and falling down and fumbling? That's not a good time. So, which was weird when they had, of course, they had a couple in the domes up in Detroit, but when they had that one in New York a number of years ago that was outside, I was like, are they crazy? Of course, turned out the weather just turned out not to be bad that time, but man, it was February in New York.
I think that's what Small Town Republic was just saying right there as you said that.
Oh yeah, jeez, yep, there.
You guys were on the same wavelength, but no, he's and y'all are not wrong. To me, and again, they only got awarded that because it was a new stadium. To me, I understand if you're going to build a big municipal stadium and it's done with tax dollars or even with private dollars, even says what this owner's money, you're going to want to reward them for spending money on that. So you're going to want to give them a Super Bowl. The problem is giving somebody a Super Bowl in a non-dome stadium is asking for trouble this time of year. You just ask it.
Yeah, back in the 70s when the Super Bowl first time the Steelers won the Super Bowl against the Vikings, I think it was Super Bowl 9, if I remember, or 9 or 10. It was 9, and it was down here in New Orleans, but the Superdome was not ready. It was supposed to be in the Superdome, but they had to play it at Tulane Stadium. It just happened to have a monsoon that day, and but they were planning. They, like you're saying, Culture, they wanted it to be indoors. You couldn't do it. Yeah. Hey, buddy.
Hey, Steven.
Yes, exactly. American football, not football.
I was saying that earlier. Ash has been my most common football guest this year already. Well, speaking of that, Ash, what about are there any specific Super Bowls that you remember?
Well, it's. I apologize in advance because it'll probably make everyone feel old. But I started paying attention to Super Bowls towards the end of Brady's career with the Patriots. So that's like within like that last 5 or just over 5 years, I think. Yeah. So
because he's had such a long career, the last 5 years were the end of his career. Yeah. The average length of football service is not even in that ballpark, right? I mean, it's what, 3 and a half?
Is that old?
Like that. Yeah. Yeah. I am I wrong, Clobby? I think, or did the number go up? It used to be about 3.5 years. right? It's not like baseball, right? Because in baseball you get your what they call the full pension ride is at year 12, right? That's 12 years in.
You're talking about the average player. I mean, the average time.
The average professional player career in football is 3.5 years.
You're somewhere up in there, but I've never really looked at it. But yeah, it sounds about right because there's so many people don't make it.
Well, and the thing is, that's what's critical about that rookie contract. You know, if they can get that first contract after they get that time in, then
4-ish, maybe. Yeah.
By the way,
4 to 5 because they bounce around after they get cut.
I thought this was funny here that we talked about Soldier Field. Jess is up from that way. He called them turf gremlins in Chicago.
Gremlins, yeah, no kidding.
And of course,
some of that turf in the 80s was so terrible, especially in Philly.
You know, that's the interesting thing about Arizona, right? Because that's a real grass field, right? That's a real grass field in a dome because they roll the grass out the field. Yeah. They water it out and they have it out in the sun. And then they roll it in there. I'm not kidding. This giant ass football field rolls into the stadium.
Right.
Yeah. And then the roof can open and close, which is bonkers.
Yeah. It's like I hear that's a nice stadium. You been to that one? Or?
Yeah, I've been there a few times. Yeah.
Let me say hello real quick to the lovely Daisy Blossom.
Hey, Daisy.
Glad to have you with us tonight. And I talk about age of players. Frank Gore is 39 as a running back.
Okay.
You know, especially
is he playing right now?
No, he's long retired.
Finally gone, huh?
Yeah, he's
39
long
as a
retired.
running back? That's ridiculous.
Well, dude, I mean, he kept himself in incredible shape. He played for the Niners, so he was really well defended.
Played a lot of teams.
Yeah, but I mean,
for a lot of teams.
Yeah, but when he was with the Niners, I mean, nobody was getting him. I mean, other than when he got tackled after he was past the line. It's the backfield tackles that get you, right? Or the tackles at the line that get you. If you get outside of that and you get along, single tackles aren't going to hurt you that much. So, unless you're Denny Hamlin or DeMar Hamlin.
He did cross 10,000 yards at some point.
Yeah.
One of the things, I guess he finally retired. Frank Gore finally retired, but before this season, it looks like. Yeah, so he lasted quite a while. Yeah. But I remember when he played in University of Miami, so that's how. God, I'm old. So anyway, thank you for being here, Ash. You're making me feel even older.
You're welcome.
Yes, thanks, Steve.
I'll say this, of all the professional sports championships, the Super Bowl is the biggest because it's 100. You have 100, you're going to have 118 to 125 million people watching this game live when it happens. I believe that's just here in the United States. International audience, I don't know. Those numbers get huge. So
yeah, and you know what comes with it? Let's hit this topic because man, time is flying. Can you believe it? And we're just barely scratching the surface with this stuff tonight. We
talked about 78 and 79. So.
I'm a Cowboys fan. By the way, let me do some as you know what I meant to do a poll, so I have trouble multitasking with this thing. I'll try to do that if I can in a second.
I blame Clobby on that.
Anyway, but hey, listen, y'all know I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan, right?
We won't hold it against you.
I know, but Clobby knows what I like to do, especially in celebration of another choke job this season.
Oh boy, did you guys cough it up this year? Oh man.
Oh boy. Well,
as long as Jerry Jones is there, I know I always say that to you, but as long as it's Jerry Jones, there ain't gonna be no more rings.
Well, my thing is, love my Cowboy brethren and stuff, but you got to have a sense of humor with a team that keeps doing this since the 90s, since the mid 90s, and I've been to the Super Bowl. Hey, the Cowboys are going to Super Bowl, but not without ticket. Oh, hey,
let's go Cowboys.
But I love dropping memes like this just for the fun of it. You got to have a sense of humor with it because it's otherwise you cry.
You know, our boy Mad Mardigan is a huge Cowboy fan. I love just sticking it to him. Oh man, I stick it to him every year now. It's like, hey, dude, how about them Cowboys?
How about them Cowboys? I love it when they say, "Hey, what about our 5 Super Bowls?" I said, "I'll do you one better. You guys went to 8, but what century was that?"
Yeah, how long ago was that?
What century was it? Just give me a.
Yeah, actually looking at that with the appearances, they had 5 appearances. 5 of those 8 appearances were in the 70s. They had 92, 93, 95.
Right. Correct.
And it's like, what have you done since then? Since 95? Esh wasn't even born, I don't think.
Yes?
No. I was born in 99.
Yeah, it's phenomenally bad, their history, right? I mean, and we just talked about two Super Bowl appearances in the 70s, right? We just did them both. Right?
Yeah. Right. See, he basically Jerry Jones, what he did to Tom Landry, he made a deal with the devil where he got 3 Super Bowls out of it, but the deal was like, after that, you're going to the woodshed. And now he will never win anything again. And he's as much as I like some things about Al Davis, he's kind of the Al Davis part too. Meddler, can't leave things alone, tries to run everything himself, including micromanage everything, and he just needs to stay out of it. He won't hire. That's why he doesn't hire. Remember, he hired Bill Parcells. I'm like, that's going to be fire and water, and it just didn't work because Bill Parcells don't like anybody controlling him.
Well, all he had to do was leave the guy alone, let him make his personal decisions, the whole 9 yards. That would have been all Jerry had to do was shut up and write checks.
Yep.
God.
I mean, but ego gets involved.
He's the coach. He never hires a coach anymore. He learned his lesson.
He had, I think, Jimmy Johnson would have been the best long term. If Jones had just stayed back and let Johnson. Now that was a clash of two huge egos right there.
Oh
Johnson had his own big ego, but
Johnson had faults too. The guy didn't. I mean, Jimmy Johnson was a jackass in the 90s because you gave him Dan Marino, and he turned him and he tried to turn that team into a running team. Whereas the ultimate quote unquote conservative or running coach, as Don Shula, was the most hard-nosed, smash-mouth football guy. Then he got a guy like Marino and said, let me use him. And he did. He wasted Marino.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. I mean, he wasted 2 years that Marino could have had a Super Bowl ring. He wasted 2 years.
Yeah. I actually saw Dan Marino's last game.
I know you did.
It was here. I was telling Culture and Edge. It was sad. You could see. I mean, I thought Brady looked sad in that last game against Dallas, but the Marino one I saw his last touchdown pass. I think it was to Randy Gadsden in the corner, but it was a shell of a quarterback, and it was 62-7. It was like a video game. Yeah, that day it was a bad ending to a great career. So.
It happens. It happens. I mean, you can't always pick the day that you leave. It's just. And that's the thing is like how many times did Brady have to walk away from a field unsatisfied? Far too many, especially at the end. This last year at Tampa Bay might have been the biggest mistake he made because he could have walked away not only just the GOAT but with a lot more impressive numbers than he did.
Yeah, but even that he got into the playoffs. In other words, imagine how I don't think he's had a losing season, has he? He's not play. He doesn't know what it's like to play in a losing season. All the greatest quarterbacks who lived at one point or another did, and he didn't. And if you said like a down year is when you can't count the one where he got hurt and didn't play the rest of that season.
Yeah, so less than 10 wins was a down year.
Yeah, down year and is when he misses the playoffs, but he still was at a winning season. And he didn't miss the playoffs very many times.
Well,
it's ridiculous.
The misses comes up with one right here, Clobby. How many teams have won the Super Bowl and also had an undefeated regular season?
Only one.
Only one.
Oh, no, two. Well, because only one. That's right. I forgot they lost. I'm kidding about the Patriots. I was trying to be nice and guess about the Patriots, but they were 18-1. Sorry.
Yeah.
But no, it was, of course, the 72 Dolphins.
They were cheated out of that game, by the way.
Were they? Yeah. Well, the answer is the 72 Dolphins, but yeah.
And Zonka was one of the leading running backs, and that was Bob.
That was during the 14-game schedule. Bob Greasy.
Yeah.
How long was Ditka the assistant coach at the Cowboys before he got the Bears job?
For about, I'd say about 6 or 7 years or something like that. So
he learned under the best. He learned under Landry. Landry was the coach of that team, right?
He might be. Oh yeah. In other words, he might be one of the few players I can think of that has a ring as a player, an assistant coach, and a head coach.
Yeah.
But
to Clobby's point is, Ash, a few years ago, the Patriots had went undefeated regular season through the playoffs, lost the Super Bowl.
No 7.
And you know what the tradition is with that Miami 72 Dolphins team is when the last undefeated team in a season loses, then they break out the champagne or cigars. They have a celebration every year to see
because that's not obnoxious at all.
No, it's not. But let's say hello to Phantom and Outsider. Hey, Phantom, good to see you here tonight. And small time mentioned, we talked about Marino, but Marino did come back from that Achilles injury, which is impressive. That Achilles is a bad injury for anybody to come back from, and a lot don't. So
this marked that would be the 50th year anniversary of that Super Bowl that they won, that gave them the undefeated. The Dolphins had undefeated perfect season, but even when you get it just says something about life, right? Even when you get a perfect season, if they didn't screw up a field goal kick and have it blocked and run back for a touchdown by the Redskins and making it a 14-7 game, the game would have ended 17-0, and their season was going to be ended up because the season was 17-0 because they won 17-0. So just imagine that would have been 17-0.
Was that the Super Bowl with that great NFL films like Gary
Premium?
Somehow ended up with the ball in his hand, tried to throw it, fumbled back, and then watched.
Okay. And Mike Bass ran it back for a touchdown for the Redskins and made it a closer game. Final was 14-7. But again, if they make that field goal, they win 17-0 in their season that they go 17-0. So it goes to say that the universe doesn't want you to have it too perfect, right?
Exactly. Well, let me say this real quick, break in here. We got 16 people watching us on both Twitch and YouTube. Thank y'all. What a great crowd turnout. Thank you. Follow us over on the Twitch side. We're 12 away from hitting 150 on the YouTube side. So if you haven't, subscribe over here. And thank you for being here tonight. And great guests here, Ash, Culture, and Clobby. Let's go to a different topic, one that I know a lot of people love. Super Bowl and big game football is all about food also. But beyond the food and the parties, what about the commercials?
Yeah.
How do you like the commercial? What do you think of Super Bowl commercials in general? Do you like them, or are they sideshow, or what do you think?
It's the time to watch if you're like a fan of like films and stuff like that, because it's like all the companies are paying huge sums to fight for the halftime show slots, and it's where we get the big trailers. Like we got the first. I definitely remember the first Black Panther film. The Super Bowl slot. The Spider-Man, one of the Spider-Man films, I think it was the latest one, or the one before that. That was a Super Bowl slot. A lot of Marvel films have been Super Bowl slots. So yeah, they're huge. That's definitely something I'm going to be looking out for.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Clobby and I've talked about it a little bit recently, and I kind of feel like, and Clobby, I'll let you talk for yourself too. Sorry, but it's in recent yeyears the ads seem to have been down, not as creative, more really product placement. Not like a couple years ago had Puppy Monkey Baby. You remember the Puppy Monkey Baby commercial?
I don't know.
Yeah, Puppy Monkey Baby.
I remember that one.
Well, you had to look that one up because, for so long they were inventive. The new commercials came out. They premiered there. They were inventive. They struck your imagination. Just the last few years, they seemed a little bit down. And I think I read an article, I might have seen it from you, Culture, that they're going to be lighter on the topics this year. And go ahead.
Yeah, no, you were saying it exactly right. So the last couple of years we've been having preachy articles. You're bad people. You shouldn't be, spending money on stuff. You need to do all this, political malarkey agenda garbage. They learned a lesson, and they know that everybody's being hit really hard financially right now. So they are going to more creative, more star-laden commercials, more creative things. So you're going to get a Breaking Bad commercial. Now, here's the other thing they're doing. Real quick, they're doing combo commercials. You're not going to get one product in a commercial. You're going to get two or more. You're actually going to have a Disney commercial, an Ant-Man and Wasp, Ant-Man Quantumania commercial with Heineken beer. You're going to have, I'm not kidding. You're going to have it, which is a completely bizarre matchup, right? But you're going to have commercials that are combining two brands together to make something creative. Will Ferrell is doing something in a commercial that is two brands. like an electric truck in something else. It's very strange. So you're getting like GM paired up with somebody else. It's bizarre stuff. But this will be the first time that you see that done regularly. A lot of that's because ads are incredibly and terribly expensive. And believe it or not, Fox sold out their entire slate of commercials, which didn't happen last year. They still had some commercial spots available, especially some in the local markets. But it's going to be interesting, and we're going to get some better commercials this year, supposedly. I've seen a few of them. They're okay. In fact, one of the things you can do starting tomorrow is actually find previews of almost all of the commercials on YouTube, believe it or not.
Wow.
What?
That's early.
What? Really? That's like, if you watch the Super Bowl, if you watch the game for the commercials, just watch it ahead of time. You don't have to watch the football.
This is just like previews, though, right? They're not the whole thing, or the whole thing.
There will be a few commercials that won't be revealed, but the last 2 or 3 years, you've been able to pre-watch almost all of the commercials.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Wow.
You know, and you mentioned about cost and all. A kind of novel concept. That way, you can split the cost of an ad with another company.
Exactly. That's 100%
you get the same
right,
exposure, with half the cost. So, and Michael Jackson hair on fire Pepsi commercial.
That was so weird, man.
Do y'all have one specific commercial that I mentioned Puppy Monkey Baby, but is there one specific commercial or some that jump out at you?
We had the Budweiser frogs here too.
Budweiser. Yeah, but from many years ago with What is a Farmer with Paul Harvey doing the voiceover, gave me chills. That was a brilliant commercial. That was, and it wasn't trying to be funny. See, I think they've done so many funny commercials every year. They got to one up it. They feel like they got to be funny every year. Everything has to be funny, which is fine. It's supposed to be entertaining. That one got me big time. I don't know if you're familiar with that one. What is a Farmer?
I don't remember that one.
Look that one up. Paul Harvey, Paul Harvey doing the voiceover.
And the Clydesdale horses, the Budweiser Clydesdales are always a big deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then if you remember back, the Bud Bowl would Budweiser back when they were their own company before they became part of AmBev or whoever else owns them now. I don't know. Budweiser was primarily, one of the biggest sponsors of the football game, and at least the commercials. And so you would get multiple versions of their commercials, and they'd be great. You'd get like the Budweiser Frogs commercial. There was like 4 versions of it through the game, And the Xerox commercial with the monks. There was some really, really good stuff. That creativity is gone. The problem is we went to ad tech. This conversation I always have, and now the commercials are fairly soulless. And again, the last few years they've been lecturing you on what a bad person you are. That's not why you're watching the game.
Exactly.
I noticed that. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say last thing. Esh is right. I mean that you get to see a lot of trailers and movie promotions that are unique. Sometimes you get a one-time commercial. It's only available on the Super Bowl. But,
yeah. I think the missus hit that earlier. And the Clydesdales are always good. We have a Budweiser brewery near us, so we get to see the Clydesdales at times when they come back.
They are enormous.
Oh gosh, this one. You can call me Ray, you can call me Jay.
Yeah.
I don't remember this one, but O.C. Dobbins says about the Clint Eastwood Chrysler commercial.
Wasn't the most interesting man? Didn't that debut in the Super Bowl?
Oh, that might have been. Yeah, the
that guy. Yeah,
that guy was on Star Trek.
Of course, a lot of people like the Puppy Bowl too, so that's cool.
Yeah, that's already it's already produced. Actually, it's already done, filmed and done.
Absolutely. I like the Dorito commercials too. They were some that were actually pretty creative, and I guess. I did not realize that was debuted.
Where's the beef?
Yes. What about the one with the horses playing football?
Yes.
And one of the horse kicks an extra point and goes, they usually do that? No, they usually go for 2.
Yeah. That was hilarious.
I think that was Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I
believe it was.
Yeah.
the commercials have been kind of have really been iconic. In some ways, they're bigger than the game. I know that there were a few years ago, when the commercials were better, that we watched it. We didn't care about the game. We didn't care about Oakland and somebody else, but we watched the game because of the commercials. And it's like when the commercials are right, and over time, the commercials actually may outdraw the game itself, by bringing in the casual fan or the person that doesn't like football.
Well, it brings in the ladies. You have a lot of female-friendly commercials that happen during the Super Bowl, and they know that they've marketed it that way.
True.
So you'll get a lot of those. You have to remember, that 75% of purchased goods are done by women in the household. So the commercials do kind of have a little bit more feminine flair in the Super Bowl than normal, but they're usually broadly appealing.
Yeah, a couple of these that they put out here. I love Betty White. Your mother. I was like, oh my gosh, I love Betty White. Those are some great commercials. That and the what's up? What's up? You remember that one, Ash?
Oh yeah, that was a great one.
Of course,
O.C. Dobbins is right. Yeah, way to go there, Dad, man. Yeah, this commercial, it's iconic.
That's a classic. Mean Joe Green. Joe Green didn't like that. He didn't like being called mean.
Yeah,
but he was mean.
I never liked any of the Steelers, but that ad was always a nice ad. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, and in person he's a very nice man. On the football field, he's mean.
He was a nasty. I mean, that dude. He would spit on people. He would push them. He would kick them. But he was the nastiest player.
That's the way football was played back then. I mean, I remember you telling me about the person that had the coins taped to their fingers. Rattle the helmets with that. Yep. Terry Tate, linebacker for Reebok. Well, Lisa doesn't remember the commercials. Hey, watch it this week and see. There have been plenty of those. Old Spice,
yeah.
E-Trade, Volkswagen Force commercial. Yeah. Oh no. Well. It's I didn't see that one, Sammy. But well, I hadn't seen those commercials, but it's just funny how it's like we talked about the games going in cycles. I think the commercials do stuff in cycles. You hit good creative. It's like old Saturday Night Live where it's great, down, great. Everything's cyclical, and hopefully the commercials will get back to where we think it was, where they used to be. And hello to Caden. Hey, Caden, welcome.
Hey.
Jess, the resident Bears fan, Lisa, I guess you may be Bears fan too, from what I've been seeing. There's a reason we're known as the Monsters of the Midway. That's the way it used to be played.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Well, the game was played by men, big, tough dudes.
Absolutely.
Not like the boys and now little spoiled brat millionaires now.
Well, we talked about commercials, and that's a good thing. And if you think of something, we can do that. But food is an awesome thing. Getting with friends and food. When you go to watch a game, whether it's the big game or if it's any game, what is there any particular food or foods you like? You prefer culture?
I make a dry rub. I'd make a dry rub rack or two of ribs that I barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
I make usually beer brats as well. Last few years I've had habanero beer brats, which are habanero stuffed with the fillings. We use Cuban beans instead of pork and beans. So we use Cuban beans as like a side. Sometimes scallop potatoes, whatever you want to call them. It's kind of like going like down south and just having a cookout. That's what we do. I mean, when you tailgate or when you go to a Super Bowl party, those are the things that I'm normally putting together for food.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
So the problem with pigs in a blanket, I'd probably eat the whole tray of them.
Nobody else can get a shot at them. Fortunately for me, when I put the ribs together, if the boss gets to them before I do, she takes all the membrane off. Mm-hmm. If she doesn't, I leave the membrane on, because I like to retain all the moisture. But because I do a dry rub, it usually is pretty good.
Nice.
Absolutely. Ash, any sporting events? Is there anything particular you like to go to?
Well, I'm not as religious about sporting events, so I don't really like make huge meals for if I sit down for a sporting event. But like the one go to if I went to a stadium and I saw a big game, like the main thing would be like I get a big greasy hot dog.
Hot dog.
Nice big hot dog, get some good condiments on it, and yeah, just sit down with the game and
There you go.
have a nice hot dog. Yeah.
That reminds me of our local. Talk about things changing. Minor league baseball. We have a minor league team here. Now they're called the Jumbo Shrimp from weird reason, but they demolished the old dump stadium years ago, but it was much more affordable. 50-cent family feast nights on Tuesday, where you got 50-cent hot dogs, 50-cent ice cream treats, 50-cent drinks. Ash, I'd go there eat hot dogs in the night. I mean, so there's nothing like baseball and a hot dog.
Yeah, so. and knowing my family, if we stayed at home and like purposely watched a major game, we'd probably just go full blown Indian and we'd order like samosas and spring rolls and stuff, and then maybe make a curry or something, and do that.
Hey, and your all time backup is your KFC too, you know.
Absolutely,
no, of course.
Can't forget about KFC.
Clobby, any particular things you like?
Oh, I'm not too picky. Just whatever. It just depends. Whatever's on the menu. Usually, I go to my nephew's place in what's about outside of New Orleans, and we all get together for Super Bowl Sunday there a lot. And he's, I like it when I think he's doing it this week. Makes a big, gigantic, huge pot full of pastelaia, which is marvelous. He makes it's very nice and spicy. I don't know if any of you ever had pastelaia before. Similar to it's not jambalaya. It's quite different from that, but it is similar to it, except instead of rice, it's pasta. Andouille.
Andouille sausage is amazing, by the way.
Yeah.
Good night, Snortopoopas. Thanks for hanging out.
Snorty.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Because we were talking about Super Bowls and everything else, do you think that the Redskins would have had a successful season in '85 if Theismann wouldn't have gotten hurt? Do you think they would have been contenders for that Super Bowl that year?
Yeah, they were pretty good. Yeah, I think so.
I mean, they were sitting at an even schedule back when he got hurt. It was November 18th, so it'd have been they were like a little over 500 at that point. The reason that I ask is because I feel like Schroeder may have given him a better go, but I don't know that they would have been able to overcome the Bears. That's the only stumbling block that I think.
Schrader was streaky, and that's why he kind of kept getting pulled in and pulled out. He could really play well sometimes. I knew he'd go out there and throw a bunch of picks. That's why it was a schizophrenic position. Doug Williams would go out there and play a little bit better than him sometimes. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, they never really had a lot of stability at quarterback without Theismann.
Yeah, and that's what I feel like. I think Lawrence Taylor kind of wrecked. Yeah, this is it. Yeah,
yes. It was so bad. Taylor jumped off and
I was watching immediately.
Yeah, he's like, I destroyed this dude. Somebody come out and save his life. Yeah,
I saw it live too. It's one of those moments you know where you were when you saw it live.
Yeah, and if you see it now on a replay, you're like, oh,
it's weird that happened to Alex Smith for the same team just a few years back. Remember what happened to him? It was a very similar injury.
Yeah, but he came back.
Yeah, he did. But
those times when there was
different time now though.
No coming back for Theismann.
No, but that was 30-something years ago. That was different medical technology and things like that.
Yeah. The guy's leg wasn't even ever the same, man. You ever see him walk? He looks like.
Yeah, that's right. It's a mess.
Let me say
that
hi
was
to Castle.
Some kind of injury. Hey,
hi, Castle. Welcome. Coming in with the Bears. So
Super Bowl's only had one really horrible injury like that, and that was Tim Cromrye. And with that second, it was that second Niners Bengals matchup back in '89 or '88 season, whatever, '89. When you could see his leg when he falls down. He was a defensive lineman for the Bengals. And when he falls up, you can see his leg dangling. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
He came back later.
Theismann's was bad enough. It was horrific to watch. Horrible.
Well, anyway, I didn't mean to. I derailed us off the food conversation, but it occurred to me. I was thinking about 85 Bears, and I was like, well, wait, that's the same year that Theismann got destroyed. So
yeah,
think
but
so,
that's a big thing. I mean, what could have happened? I don't know. It seemed like the Bears were a team of destiny that year.
it does.
Everything going their way, and just had the right combination of players. Hey, let me go back real quick. A couple of the ads. The Volkswagen Force commercial. I remember that now. Somebody mentioned the kid.
Oh, where he's like,
yeah, and the card starts or whatever. Yeah, we got that one. Let's see. A Rocket Mortgage ad. Jason Momoa shows he's a real.
Oh yeah, he tears off his. Yeah, I remember that. That's like 3 years ago, right?
So we got a few there. So, but yeah, with me, it's a classic. I don't barbecue and things like that. If I go somewhere, ribs barbecue would be cool. But when it's us at home, it defaults to pizza and wings.
I'll take it.
The more the merrier, and it just it's good stuff, But and Diet Dr. Pepper is my favorite diet drink.
I want those pigs in the blanket you were talking about. I hadn't had that in ages.
That was O.C. Dobbins, I think, that threw that out there.
Dude,
good idea.
It's his fault. Now I'm thinking, okay, I got a roll of crust rolls in the refrigerator.
There you go.
And then I got hot dogs. I'm good. Except I'm gonna wrap the brats. I ain't not F the hot dogs. I'm gonna go get the brats and wrap them in.
There you go.
Oh my goodness. Well, we talked a lot about the Super Bowl history, the commercials, the things. Is there anything else y'all mind before we talk about this week's game?
I'm old.
Oh well, if it comes up,
and I'm even older, so we're both old. We're both a bunch of old people up in here.
Well,
I don't know, man. I love the Super Bowl, and I love Super Bowl trivia. And
this is the problem when your family is like in your chats. Yeah, Dad Man doesn't cook, but he can order pizza like somebody's business. Oh my gosh! And
it's a trick to ordering pizzas. That's a talent. Hey, Deborah.
Hi, Deborah.
Hey, man, it takes a lot of skill to be able to order a pizza. Not everyone can do it, man. I'm just saying.
I tell you what, and the ingredients, the proper ingredients are key.
Yeah.
No vegetables. No vegetables.
Agreed.
All meat.
Yep. Just meat and cheese. A lot of cheese.
I'm not. Lots of cheese too, but I'm not linguica sandwiches.
A lot of pepperoni, and I'm good. So.
Yeah. Bacon. Give me the apple with bacon.
I ate a frozen pizza, in fact, because yesterday was National Pizza Day. And Nick celebrated it. We all forgot about it.
Well, the missus told me that tonight, so we had pizza tonight. So
who comes up with these stupid national days?
If I'd have known about the pizza thing, I'd have had pizza last night on Comics.
Yeah.
The problem is February is a dry month for me, so it's hard for me to eat pizza without having a cerveza.
Gotcha.
No green peppers.
Yes, indeed.
That's the one. That's the one vegetable I can take on a pizza. Green peppers, but Clobby doesn't eat anything green, so.
No, by the way, green, it's a nightshade. You're like, hey, let me put a nightshade on my pizza. That's guaranteed that.
Just pepperoni and cheese, nothing else. Then I put a little habanero honey on there, and
I would like to try those. I would like to try those bacon wrapped meatballs though that Mark is famous for.
Yeah.
See, the minute you say bacon wrapped, that's automatically like much better food.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Bacon wrapped bacon.
I do an amazing bacon wrapped stuffed pork loin. That is.
Oh, I eat salad, Lisa. Yeah, I like salad. I love salad. I'm just talking about. For example, I love a salad, but I don't want lettuce on my burger because why would you do that? It's like having confetti on there. It just the whole texture of it with a burger doesn't work for me.
If it's a crispy piece of like iceberg,
you like that?
Yeah,
I can't stand it on a burger.
I don't mind a little bite. And here's the thing: if you stack your burger just right, you can sneak a lettuce in there.
Not me, but I respect that. But I can't. I just don't want anything on there.
Not even a little pickle, a little slicey pickle.
Yeah, pickle, yes, yeah.
Well, that's green. It's green.
It is green, but I can't color it purple just to So. But it's not like lettuce.
Hey, Clobby, how about bacon wrapped lettuce?
And by the way, when we say green, I mean like I can't stand like asparagus and spinach and
bacon wrapped asparagus,
and all that other stuff or what else? No. Even I wouldn't eat that.
So you take a little. Okay, so here's what you do. You take a little prosciutto, right, and a little mozz, and you put that right next to a sprig of asparagus that you've already partially cooked. Right, wrap it in bacon, and then cook it.
Bacon wrapped M&Ms.
There you go.
That'll work.
Is now the answer to everything. Just wrap everything in bacon.
Yeah.
Yes. That works.
Exactly.
Well,
And deep fry it.
within reason.
Deep fry? Nah, that's too much work.
It's that Mark D with a C. He's a gross bastard. He needs some gross stuff.
What?
Yeah, clams.
I used to be picky. I eat everything now, man. I sushi, I'm good. Take me to an Indian restaurant, I'm good. Take me any place. I'm like, I'll find something. It'd be good. Be all right.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's not me. Unfortunately, I'm one of those picky people.
As long as it's not a vegan place, I'm good.
Yeah, well, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, let me do one more before we move on to the next thing.
Oh, sorry.
I know you're good. You're good. I just, we can take all the time you want. I just want to make sure we get a few things covered. But hey, one more cowboy fun thing, guys. How about this? How about this?
Cowboy bashing
from a cowboy fan. Dallas Cowboys car.
Oh,
we made it to January this year, though. We made it to January. And yes, Lisa, I remember marking his clam pizza.
Ugh, that boy.
How does that work?
You don't want to know because he showed pictures of it on the show on our show a couple times. Raquel goes nuts too. Raquel goes nuts on him when he talks about that stuff.
That is hilarious when he breaks that out. It's crazy. So, yikes. Oh my goodness! Hey, we still got 13 people here watching. We've been people up and around. Thank you for everybody being here. Make sure you like. Subscribe. What's that?
No, I was just saying the big game's coming up.
Yeah, exactly. No vegan, no organ meat. And Lisa saying, "Oh, that's pretty." Yes, that is a pretty car. That was a very pretty car. Shame.
I know the man to ask. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I would say the man to ask about what we were talking about earlier was Mr. Culture because he knows about this kind of stuff. What's all this stuff about not being able to say Super Bowl and some people's? I mean, you got to say the big game and stuff like that, and on YouTube or whatever. Or you know anything about that?
Somebody said that to me last year, and I was like, going, I can't say Super Bowl on YouTube.
You could say it, I guess, but I think that don't mean you can't. Like, for example, if you were doing a show about the Super Bowl, from what I understand. You're not supposed to call it. Hey, tonight we're talking about the Super Bowl on your marquee or whatever.
Somebody said that, and I'm like, going, "What are you talking about?"
Well, see, I have no problem saying it. The thing that I'm not sure about is, because we've had restaurants here that got cited because somehow the arms of the league can get everywhere and anywhere to stop people from broadcasting it in a bar or restaurant. I mean, that's how. Apparently the reach goes, and anytime you put it out there super with algorithms and bots looking for everything, I'm sure that they're looking for keywords and stuff like that these days, and and logos and things. So I don't know. I just choose to be on the side of caution because we all know what we're talking about. But even if you don't, we talked about food and some fun things today.
They don't let you watch the final of your biggest tournament.
They do not. It's commercial rebroadcasting. Like a bar that's going to sell food and stuff are going to be quote profiting off of the broadcast, and they're controlling who gets.
It's ridiculous.
Broadcast, yeah, exactly. I mean, if anything, how much are those sales really ripping them off?
It's not.
It's not. If anything, it does a better job of spreading the league to more people.
Multi-billion-dollar league. Just grow up. God Almighty, they're garbage.
Yes. Lisa had a question. I need y'all's help. That does look like a Mustang, right?
Charger, maybe?
I was wondering, Dodge Charger.
It's a Charger.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, I think it looks like a Dodge Charger.
OC's saying you can't use it to advertise for other things. It's protected IP. So I guess it comes in the advertising and the way you.
But if you have a sports bar and you put it on your sign, we're watching the Super Bowl here. I mean, if the NFL gripes about crap like that, they're idiots.
I agree because all you're doing is taking away. I mean, you can grow. It's still pretty. I would love to have that car. I don't care how bad the team is.
I think it's a Charger. But
Castle says it's a Challenger.
Challenger, sorry.
Okay.
Close enough.
All right. Hey, we got a great chat out. We got 16 wonderful people out there watching us still. Hey, thanks. Smash that like button.
It is a
sub. Hey, glad y'all are here tonight. So
that's a card that looks cooler than it really is. But
yeah, probably so.
Like a little baby 6 in it. It doesn't even have like an 8. I don't think it even has an 8 in it. They're straight.
Well,
yeah.
I passed somebody with my little van today. They were a nice little sporty car, but they were having to push it because it was like, hey, looks good, but is it reliable? At my age, give me reliable.
Those are pretty decent.
Hey,
it doesn't matter how big the engine is. Does it have VTEC? No, then get a Honda.
No,
that's all you need.
There you go.
You're a Honda guy, aren't you?
Oh yeah, I've got a Civic.
Oh, cool.
Oh my gosh, a Civic. Yeah. That's a mom and pop
absolutely, dude. It's a 1 liter, but when you hit the revs, when you hit about 3,000 revs, VTEC kicks in, and oh my god, it is beautiful.
Wow,
that is crazy.
Well, just
I'll recap a few things. The Patriots had the most appearances with 11, and the most. I think they also had the most wins with 6, tied with the Steelers at 6. Who has the most losses in the Super Bowl?
I thought the Patriots had 7. No, they have 6. Right?
Yeah.
Who has the most losses?
Losses, yeah.
Well, wouldn't that be a tie between the Vikings and the Bills?
Actually, Denver has 5 losses. Denver has 5 losses.
Yeah, that's right now.
But then who has lost 4 in a row? What?
Bills.
Bills.
They got the 4 in a row.
Super Bowls in a row. 4 losses in a row.
Oh. But they got there 4 in a row. That's also pretty impossible. No one's ever gotten 4 in a row.
Kelly deserved better.
He did. That was Scott Norwood's fault. Well, that wide right, because the only game they were actually in was that first one with the Giants, and the Giants held the ball for like 40-something minutes. You can't win at the game if with the other team, and yet they still at the end. You shouldn't be able to even be in a game if the other team possesses the football over 40 minutes, and they were 1 kick away from winning it.
I remember the 93 Super Bowl, which is Dallas, the third of the losses, which wasn't even close. Dallas just blew the heck out of Buffalo. But what was so famous with that was a play with Leon Lett picking up a fumble.
Leon Lett, Don Beebe.
And Don Beebe runs like 40 yards downfield, strips him out at the goal line, and it goes in the end zone. Buffalo gets the ball back.
And it was already down like 40-something to 10 or whatever.
I tell you, I was happy that night because it helped me out personally for something. So, but yeah, you get memories like that in a game. But yeah, talk about Bills and that stretch. I mean, Thurman Thomas also.
Who in the one against Washington, that famous story how he lost his helmet when he walked out onto the field to go into the game. He forgot to bring his helmet outside.
No, I
couldn't play the first couple of series.
Oh my gosh! Wow, that's when you grab somebody else's helmet, find the guy with the closest size head, and put it on.
They were snake bit those Bills. You know what though? I loved Marv Levy because that guy was pretty down to earth, and he was. When they got to like their third or something or fourth, whatever it was, I remember the fourth one, he said these people are all talking like, here we go again. You go to another fourth, we're going to lose. He says, you know what? We're here. Would you rather not be here?
Exactly.
Would you rather it's not? How many teams get to 4 in a row? What do you think we should do? Just not show up? I mean, turns out they didn't play well enough when they got there, but they were a dominant team in the AFC every time they got there.
Yep, exactly. I'm going to try to start a poll. But Culture, any other memories from any more recent games that you've got?
Not really. I mean, to me, there haven't been any super amazing games in quite some period of time. I think we're about to see one. I think Sunday's game is going to be one of those games that we're going to remember for a long time. Because I think you have 2 number 1 seeds, which I don't remember that happening for a long time, if at all. I know it's happened before, but it's been a while. And you're going to see the two best teams that were destined to be there actually play each other. You're going to see the Chiefs. You're going to see the Chiefs do what the Chiefs do. You're going to see so much offense. It's going to be staggering. As long as the quarterback isn't diminished. I don't see how I don't see how the Eagles overcome it. So we'll see.
Yep. By the way, I just put poll out there on the YouTube side. Who do you think will win? Casey, Philly, the commercials, or you're not going to watch? So probably the head.
The Super Bowl for the first almost first 15, 20 years were almost always blowouts, with very few exceptions. In fact, maybe like the first, 20 some odd years, there was rarely was there a competitive Super Bowl. There were very rare, but they happened. And then it wasn't really until parody, and it wasn't really until when you got into the late 90s and into the 2000s where you started seeing closer, more competitive Super Bowls. In this century, there've been a lot more competitive or close games.
Yeah.
But initially they were, and someone not always indicative of the score, but there were just a lot of blowouts early on.
See these scores here?
Crazy
because
ones.
the Pittsburgh Dallas ones were really the closer
They were both
games.
good. Well, the first two one,
yeah.
The second two, the third one in the 90s was.
So you can see like what you're saying. Then all of a sudden, as time goes, the games do get
tighter,
more closer. So
I mean, we had a couple, bad ones like Tampa, Kansas, because that was a kind of a not a good one, but a lot of ones are at least closer than they used to be.
Deflategate, Deflategate. We didn't really hit on that, but what can you say to Deflategate? But the Patriots balls go flat.
Ooh.
Or we can say Tom Brady. So anyway, a lot of people do watch the halftime shows, although I don't make it a rule because I'm out of this modern stuff.
Yeah. So. I get up and go do stuff. That's what I've been sitting there watching the game and sitting through those silly commercials. I got to go walk around and let all the women flood into the front of the TV who are all chattering. I'm sorry to sound sexist. They're all chattering when the game's going on, and all they will care about is commercials. And then when the stupid halftime show, which goes on an hour now, starts up, that's when all the dudes go. Most of us just go, take care of certain things and eat some more,
stretch, eat. Hey, reload. Well, yeah, folks, go ahead and participate in the poll. Let's see what y'all think. We've got a big crowd tonight. I'm sorry I didn't put it out sooner, but hey, vote which team are the commercials, or if you're not even going to watch it, no answer is wrong. And I agree. Probably as a player, it's annoying because you're used to a routine.
It is
game
weird.
to game, you're in a flow. You're used to how things operate, and then all of a sudden, you get this one game, and it's completely
twice as long as the normal halftime, I think. Isn't it?
Well, I mean, I don't know culture or Clobby. I don't know, and Ash. I don't know how much sports y'all play, but it's always when you're an athlete, you're used to routines. Yeah. You want consistency. You want that structure. When something throws you out, it can throw you a little monkey wrench.
I hated staggered start times. Yeah, especially when I was playing baseball. It really bothered me, and I had a whole lot of pre-game stuff that I would go through. I would know who was going to be, we were going to be opposing. I would know the whole entire lineup, top to bottom, because I was the catcher. So it was tantamount that I understand everybody, obviously every hitter that was going to be there, so that, situationally, in circumstances, I would make sure that, we were going to throw the ball away every single time to this hitter. It wasn't going to come inside at all. So it's just, and sometimes if a staggered start time shifted and we have to start earlier, I didn't have the same kind of prep time. And I always felt like that would suffer. That overall the team would suffer because I wasn't as well prepared. And I know pitchers are the same way. I mean, you talk to a pitcher, they have it's a routine, man. It's like, and you're so ingrained in it. And sometimes you feel like it's what you're doing is like part of your luck or part of your energy. And it was really strange. So
you get your normal processes, and athletes are superstitious. You know what I mean? You got some that won't cut hair. You don't step on the baseline jumping, going in. Exactly. Don't change your underwear if they're lucky underwear. Well, it's extreme, but it's been known to happen. So,
well, I know the hat thing's been in baseball forever, right? If you don't wash your hat, you don't change, you don't put on a clean hat, if you're on a streak, you don't, the hat stays Stat stays. It doesn't matter how dirty it gets or whatever, And it's funny for some teams, they won't take the resin off their batting helmets, right? I mean, all that stuff. Like, okay, but I get it, because if that's part of your mojo, man, that's part of your mojo. For football players, it's the worst. Could you imagine? Okay, and this is always the worst situation: weather. Okay, in a football game, if they have to stop a game for weather, like lightning, let's say, or even a heavy downpour, when you just can't see. You go back to the locker room, man. You are now, everything that you did to prep, you have to redo. You have to start. You have to figure out, how long are we going to be here, and how much of this do I have to redo so I can be ready to be back on the field. That's got to be bonkers, man. Remember the power outage? Man, that destroyed that Super Bowl. What Super Bowl was that, Clobby? It was just a few years ago.
Which one are you talking about? Which one?
The power outage, where the power went out.
Yeah, that was here in New Orleans, 2012.
Yeah,
Ravens, it was 49ers.
It screwed everything up, right? And like
terrible.
And then
40 minutes.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden your mojo's gone, right? One team had mojo, the other team now it switched. The power went out.
The 49ers, they acted like the 49ers were acting like their momentum got screwed over, but it wasn't just a bad thing, a weird thing that happened. That was the last one we had here. We're getting it in 2025. And we still have the second most Super Bowls here.
We got one. The 1 year we had it, they had to import cruise ships down by the river to house everybody. Yeah. It was hilarious. But cruise ships all along the river. Hey, you did what you had to do we went to it as 05. The kids were like 3 and 6, and it was nice. It was a nice event for the city downtown. Walked over the bridges and stuff, but it was that was a big thing, was the cruise ships kept coming in to house people because of lack of hotel space.
Like I said, there's a reason why Super Bowls are being held now in certain cities, because of craziness.
Oh, yeah. Well, New Orleans is a big party town. Everyone likes to have them here. I mean, it's like I said, Miami's had the most.
I want to say this: your hotel situation is garbage in New Orleans.
It's terrible. Of course. It doesn't stop them from putting all those Super Bowls here, but you're right. It's terrible. It's all, I wouldn't go down there. They had just this last month, there's a cruise line that leaves out of the river in New Orleans every year. And they had right where the parking for the people who go on the cruise for like 5 days had 70 some odd cars broken into.
Wow.
It's nuts. Like I said, probably the only safe place to park there is either in the garage for the Harrah's, or
that's right.
That hotel. What's that big, tall building hotel across from the Dome, or the Harrah's, I should say.
The Hilton or whatever.
That's like the only other place that's probably safe to park and to stay.
The convention center. Well, of course, the one on the river too. The river says we're good. Yeah, but you'd think that would be pretty safe. You're paying to park 5 days for a cruise. It's insane.
Yeah, it's $175 to park there for 5 days.
Crazy. Yeah,
that's nuts. And they can't keep your car safe. Oh, it sucks.
Yeah, awful, man. You come back.
And can
you tell I've been in New Orleans?
Everybody always trashed Jacksonville for no hotels. It sounds horrible in New Orleans.
It's if you want to stay on Canal Street or somewhere up in there, but like you said, Harris, and there's no guarantees there either. On the river walk's nice, but
exactly. We have a bacon chat out there. To Daisy Blossom, yes, there have been memorable halftime blunders, which, of course, the famous is the wardrobe malfunction. Yeah, but the year apparently Madonna did it. There was also, I guess, an act, a special musical guest, I guess, MIA. Yeah, she flipped off. It was, there you go.
Oh, yeah.
That was part of the act. So, hey,
I'm going to say this: Lady Gaga's performance, and whatever you think of her, because I don't think very highly of her, but her Super Bowl halftime show, amazing.
Yeah.
And Katy Perry did a wonderful halftime show. Whatever you think of her, I mean, these are both two crazy, insane women, but they both did incredible halftime shows. I mean, Lady Gaga left. Was it Lady Gaga or one of them leapt off the top of the roof of whatever? I think that was in Arizona, and like bungee jumped down into like the stadium. You guys remember that?
Wow. No, I'm not. I can't remember it, but
right.
Sounds. No, I've heard. Again, like I say, I always walk out for that, but I didn't hear about that one. But that Janet Jackson one, that was one of the better Super Bowls played in a long. That was Panthers, Patriots.
And I promise you, that was pre-planned because JT knew exactly what he was doing.
Oh yeah. But that was one of the better Super Bowls, though. That was Patriots Panthers.
Yeah, well, it was, yeah, but we got to see what nipple jewelry was, right? And if I'm sorry, why are you wearing nipple jewelry and if you're not going to show it off? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Okay, then.
Oh my gosh! But culture, what you said about that one with Katy Perry, yeah, it was a nice little act. But you know what? I got to show you this. This is what I think is more famous for Katy Perry. Remember the sharks?
Oh yeah. Even I remember that.
The left shark. Yeah, the guy on the left shark was dancing in some kind of weird format, and it went viral.
I do not remember this, but okay, I believe you. I just saying she did a great job. She had like 5,000 costume changes during her performance too. It was really bizarre. And like she is princessed up. She changed costumes. There was floats and stuff that she was doing. So yeah,
that is crazy. Yeah, it's amazing all the wardrobe changes that they had to do with this stuff. Oh yeah, the left shark. Yes, the left shark dance fiasco. That's it. Yes. That's what this story was talking about. Was the left shark had his own rhythm.
I remember.
Hi, Deborah.
But there were so many great things out there. To be honest with you,
yeah, so many memories. So who knows what'll happen this year? Hopefully, the game will be entertaining and things like that. So we still can talk about stuff as you want, but let's spend a few minutes on the game coming up. You know.
Oh
yeah. So let's see. Now we got the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. Both teams ended up, I guess they would be 15-3 after the playoff games now, or 14-3 regular season. Okay, 14-3 regular season. You got the first time in a number of years that both number one seeds from each conference come into the game. So it's probably, as we said earlier, the best possible matchup you would have. Hello, y'all here?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I had a glitch here on my side, so sorry. But the first time in years that you've had the two top seeds going together, both winning their divisions, both getting home field advantage through the playoffs. Fortunately, we didn't have the neutral site AFC Championship game like was thought of. You should have been here, you two guys, with me and Clobby that night when they were even threatening a coin toss for one of the options because of that canceled game, the suspended game. So, both teams seem to have good offenses. Let's look here at some of the numbers here. We got, let's see here. My screen's glitching right this second. Sorry about that. As long as y'all can hear me, that's okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, my computer's doing something. It's like y'all are frozen. So basically, I'll hopefully it'll clear up in just a second. But Culture, how do you like this matchup this year?
I honestly, I think this is probably going to be one of those close games for a change. I think we aren't going to see he'll be back. I think we're not going to see I think we're not going to see a runaway train. I think we're going to see a very close game. I think we're going to be looking at certain points in the game will be tied. And I'm not just talking at the beginning of the game, obviously 0-0, but I think that it's going to be a lot tighter. I still think that Kansas City, given their firepower, will likely end up winning out. And I feel like, in looking at everything, that no matter what, Philadelphia is going to be on fire. And I'm not talking about the game. I'm talking about they actually are going to set Philadelphia on fire.
No, win or lose.
Yeah, because that's what they do. So there'll be no safe couches anywhere. Everybody's going to drag their couch out and turn it on fire. But I don't know,
night, Lisa.
Lisa, take it easy. What do you think, Clobby? What do you find?
I'm gonna go with KC. It's not like a lot of faith there, but I'm gonna go with KC also. I think that Andy Reid has had this really, really. I mean, to get a chance, to get a shot to beat his old team is something special to him. I do believe that both defenses are very good. I think that, like you, I believe I believe that they're a little bit, Philly may not have quite the firepower KC does. Both quarterbacks are a little nicked up, but out of the two, if it's going to come down, and this is going to come down to your quarterbacks, most Super Bowl most all of NFL games do these days. Mahomes is still, I think, better. Jalen Hurts is a fine young proto running type quarterback. I'm not so sure if they, I think they've had a couple of weeks to get ready for him, meaning the KC. I think they're going to be ready. I think they're going to get you're not going to contain him the whole game, but I think they're going to hit him a little bit. He's not 100%. I just think they're going to have a bit more of a handle on him. And if that's the case, if it's going to come down to between one or the other quarterback having to win this game in the air, I would give that one to Mahomes. But again, Eagles have some good football players. Yeah. I believe KC has a little bit better offense.
I think it's going to come down to the offense. Ash, what do you think, my friend?
I'm not sure. I think from everything that's been discussed, it's obviously going to be a very close game. And I was having a look, and apparently the Eagles have a 1.5 favorite to win over the Chiefs.
Yep.
Even that being said, it's still going to be a very close game, and definitely going to be, as you've already said, like the best game in recent years to watch.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, with 1.5 point favorite isn't much. if you're a betting person,
no.
I'm
gonna pick a game there.
Yeah, it's a pick 'em, and I'm gonna take. Like I said, I mean, I know a lot of people, and even OC Dobbins in the chat here says 34-37 Eagles. I'm aiming for that to be a reverse score. I think it's going to be 38-34, 38-32. And in favor of the Chiefs. I know that's weird, and I know that I stated at the beginning of the game, at the beginning of the show, that my very first football helmet, or maybe I said it backstage, but my first football helmet I was gifted was a Chiefs helmet. But it's not because of that. It's because I really do believe we're going to end up with it being Chiefs. And a lot of people in the chat are going to pick Eagles. But like I said, win or lose, you're going to set Philadelphia on fire. So,
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Thank Mrs. Dadman, Tech Department.
Hey, good.
Hey,
we kept it going for you, buddy.
Absolutely. Y'all did fabulous. It was wonderful getting to hear you while we were getting set up. So
yeah.
But yeah, Culture, you're taking just make sure you're taking the Eagles or
the Chiefs. The Chiefs.
Bobby, did you say?
I'm going with the Chiefs. Like I said, this could go either way. The only thing this is one of those games, and I say this sometimes, this is one of those games that the only thing that would surprise me is a runaway on either side or a blowout by either team. I think they're fairly evenly matched. And usually when teams are relatively evenly matched, I go with coaching experience, and Andy Reid is the big time favorite there. And I go with quarterback, and Jalen Hurts, again, he's very dynamic and he makes a lot of plays when he's healthy. Mahomes has proven, even when he's hurt, that he's the real deal that can come out there. He's the kind of guy, he's real stuff, because he can come out there and have a not so good game and then pull a Montana, because Montana used to come out and play bad for 3 quarters and come out and kill you in the fourth quarter. No one ever said Joe Montana's not really that good. All they knew was what his end result always was. He's just one example. That's what your greater quarterbacks are. That they're not great all the time. They're great when they have to be. Mahomes is of that stripe, I always believe, and I think he will come out there, and this will probably be relatively close. And if it comes down to one quarterback having to win it, it'll probably be the last team with the football. I like Mahomes' chances a little bit better in that scenario, personally. So.
Okay, and Ash, what did you say?
I have no idea, but I'm gonna go with the Chiefs because their initials are KC, and when you give an F, it's KFC.
There you go. Love that.
That's good enough for me.
I love that logic. Well, a lot of the same things with because I see people picking different teams out here. Some going Chiefs, some going Eagles. Phantom Outsider wants the Chiefs to win to send a message to the baseball team in Cleveland and the football team in DC. So you got that. Phantom Outsider also said he needs 2 in the box. I know what you mean about that. That's quite interesting when your team ends up with a number in the box. This game, by all rights, I should be against the Eagles because of being a Cowboy fan. I've watched the two teams a bit. The Jaguars gave the Chiefs a little bit of a push this year, this in the playoffs. Lost to them twice during the year. Mahomes, who knows with that ankle, but he was effective enough to win against Kansas City. I think you touched on the health of both quarterbacks because we weren't sure about Hurts, and then you see what he did coming out has just been on fire. So I think it comes down to about our defenses, and I wish I had my stats that were up, and I believe Philadelphia statistically is a better defense than KC. I think they're in the top 5.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, in these type of games, defenses still win football games. We look at years that the Patriots had big teams and Brady, yet they still lost to the Giants that had a better defense. And look at Dallas's domination in many of the Super Bowls with top-notch defenses.
Yeah,
I don't see it being as high scoring considering the potency of the offenses.
I agree with that.
I still think it probably could be like 24-20 Eagles is where I see it coming out. So, like I said, I hate the Eagles because they're an NFC East rival, but hey, they're on fire. I think Hurts, especially watching their 2 playoff wins. They just.
I feel like there's got to be an idea that he's not been here before.
Yeah.
Yes.
There is that, but many of the other quarterbacks at times had not been there. Even Aikman, in the first Super Bowls, he had not been there before. Sometimes the experience doesn't matter, and yes, it may be that he hasn't been there before, but from watching that Eagles defense, your defense can carry you a long way. Look at the Denver championship team with Peyton Manning. That was carried by that team.
Yeah,
the defense.
Yeah, he was a terrible quarterback then. You're right. Are you saying no? I'm not going to put the words in your mouth because that wouldn't be nice. No. Let's do this. Okay, so who's the better coach?
Andy Reid.
Okay.
Oh, God, yeah.
Andy Reid.
Okay, so even though this is the Reid Super Bowl,
yeah,
he won better. Who is the Philly coach? Name him.
I don't know.
Me either. There you go.
Hey,
sorry. I'm sorry. Reid has been game planning for 2 weeks now for this.
Yes.
And you think that defense is prepared for anything he's cooked up?
Yeah, I do think. I think a good defense can
I'm not so
more
sure.
than compensate against a gimmick offense. I mean, you can game plan a lot that you want to, but if the defense is deep enough and talented enough, it can stand up against those against a game plan.
I remember, I think it was the Patriots that shoved it up somebody's defense booty in a Super Bowl just a few years ago. You know what they did? They did everything they didn't want them to do. They went up the middle the whole game.
Yep.
And
I'm not saying it can't happen, but I for the way I feel from what I've seen with this team, I do think this is a legitimate Philly defense. And
they're good.
It always can happen.
They are good. Yeah. And look, I would be surprised if they win this game. I'm just saying, Andy Reid is just, again, usually these things come down to coaching almost as much as they come down to quarterbacking.
Yeah.
So usually, not always. I mean, Belichick's even lost a couple Super Bowls, but.
And I do think that even college experience can help make up for some of the experience because Hurts is used to playing at a high level at championship level.
I agree. I'm not. There's no doubt. I mean, he does have championship level experiences at the college. He's going to have been. I mean, I'm sorry. Let's be honest. Bama's like playing pro. Sorry,
it is.
But I want to say this: who's the better quarterback, Hurts or Mahomes?
Oh, Mahomes.
Yeah, Mahomes.
Who's the better coach?
Reid by far.
Go with Reid.
What Super Bowls come down to what two things?
The two things you just mentioned, sir.
Yeah, unless you have some outstanding running back. And I know Hurts is a threat to run.
Yeah, so, you talk about defense. It's a funny thing about that. People always there's this cliche: defense wins championships.
Yeah.
There was remember this? Do you ever? Any of you ever watch one of my favorite shows on the NFL Network was called Top 10, and they do different things. Top 10 everything. I used to love the show. One of those they did one was Top 10 football myths. And do you know one of the top in the top 5 was defense wins championships? Because everyone says it. It's become a cliche. It's actually a myth. Yeah. And you say, well, how could that be a myth? It makes so much sense. No, basically, defense will keep you in games. It'll give you a chance. But if you look at all the Super Bowls, almost, first of all, and I can't run the percentage in my head because I'm terrible with numbers, but I would say anywhere from 70 to 75% of them have been won by Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Another chunk of them, at least by perennial Pro Bowl quarterbacks. Almost none have been won by abysmal or below average quarterbacks. And that usually means they come with pretty good offenses. There have been a couple of them that have been dominated by defense. Usually, though, when the other team that they were playing against was not very good. So look at most of your Super Bowls. Almost all of them were won by the best offense that year. Yes, they also had great defenses, but not necessarily. If you just look at them, I mean, look at the 2000 Ravens. People talk about what a great defense that was. They played in a division that had no good quarterbacks, and they were still a wild card team, and they played against the garbage Giants team and Kerry Collins. On the other hand, the 85 Bears were dominant, but still they played against the garbage Patriots team, and Marino and the Dolphins didn't get in that year because they got beaten a fluky game against New England, and they had no challenge in that Super Bowl. And they had Walter Payton and people like that. So usually, though, again, I mean, almost like the first 15 Super Bowls or something alone, or first 14 were won by Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Most of them are. So that should tell you something about when you get into the Super Bowl, the team with the better quarterback usually wins. Not always, but usually.
That was a good instance with that Baltimore team, the Trent Dilfer Super Bowl. Yeah.
Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl. That tells you how bad the other team was.
Yeah.
Well, and then let's just talk about Rams' greatest show on turf.
Yes.
Right. I mean, that was all offense. You didn't need defense. You just kept scoring. Nobody's going to keep up with you. It's like touchdown machine. So this is going to be an offensive game. Yeah. It's going to be a close game. It doesn't mean it's going to be a defensive game.
I don't mean to create the appearance that I was saying it was going to be a defensive game.
No.
But I do think sometimes there are times where the better defense can.
No, you're right.
Not like Cobby said, keep you in, but not only do that to win. I look at the Dallas Buffalo the 52-17 game. Kelly, the offense of Buffalo. I mean, that was a Dallas team that had a great offense too, but the Dallas defense dominated them. I could really shut them down and caused a blowout. The next year, the Cowboys still clamped down on the Bills.
But Dallas still had a great offense too, though.
Yeah, they do. And Philly's got not a bad offense either. But yeah, I agree.
The Bills had a great offense.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah, but it's just I agree that that's an old adage and a myth. But I do think there are times though when you get to the end of the season, everybody's banged up and stuff. How healthy is your defense? And depending on the health and the talent of your defense, can carry you. Right, can carry you a little bit, especially.
But through those years, there were better defenses that were sitting home and didn't make it too far in the playoffs.
Agreed. Because you can't win a game by not scoring.
Ours was one of them, the Saints and the Eagles of that year. Yeah. We had the Dome Patrol and couldn't get there because we had to have the misfortune of being in the same division with the 49ers. All that,
Yeah.
At that point.
And that's that's true too. Yeah, because I remember.
He does have a lot of experience now.
They have experience, but I think when Dallas, that first time Dallas played Buffalo had been to a couple Super Bowls, I think, at that point. But then Dallas come in like they own the place. So it's a good debate to have, though. That's what makes sports fun.
No, I got you, man. Absolutely. You're right. That's an instance where Buffalo probably had just as good an offense as Dallas, but that one you might be. I mean, again, could be one where defense was a bigger deciding factor. Like I said, That doesn't mean you can have a bad defense and win the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
But you could have it. I mean, if you're in the top 10 defenses at least, and you have an offense that's a top 5 offense, you got a really good shot at one.
Mm-hmm. I still look back at the Peyton Manning and Denver year with Denver because there was a very, very pedestrian offense, but that defense was so dominant. It really did carry them through the playoffs and then the Super Bowl. So
yeah,
but then again, how many teams have had great defenses just get blown out in the Super Bowl, or great offenses that got shut down? So
remember, it was easy for a defense to be dominant in the 60s and 70s when you had a league that wasn't geared towards the pass before the Mel Blount rule of 78, where they took away all that freedom for defenses to knock the heads off of receivers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So when they did the game opened up a lot more. So.
Well, I was watching that 78 Super Bowl, Dallas and Denver. Some of the hits that I saw Dallas putting on the quarterbacks, I mean, like would have been
couldn't do that today.
Yeah.
Well, you'd be thrown out of the game doing it today. One time is all it take.
Yeah, it is amazing to see.
Did you watch the one that Culture was talking about earlier, Super Bowl 12? The 13, the second Steelers Cowboys game. I was watching that a couple of years back, and I saw a couple of plays where I thought Bradshaw was dead. I mean, he got hit so hard. I mean, he was on the ground. I thought he'd been killed, and that was back when I watched it.
And he talks about getting his bell rung in that Super Bowl several times late years.
And he got back up. Yeah.
And when he says bell rung, he means concussion.
Yes, he does.
He does.
Remember, Bradshaw was called. Remember before that game and before that game, Thomas.
It was tough.
Thomas Hollywood Henderson was making fun of him in the media, saying Terry Bradshaw is so stupid he can't spell the word cat. You spot him the C and the T, and kept screwing with him and all that kind of stuff. And guess who went out there and just
it shellacked him. And here's the thing,
it was a close game, but yeah,
Terry's always played into the idea that he ain't bright, but he's freaking smart. Jeez, Pete, man.
And there's one where you go, that defense was astonishingly good, but still, it wouldn't. I mean, you still needed those Franco Harris. You still needed Lynn Swan and John Stallworth for Bradshaw to just bomb that ball down there, man.
And I just know that when he did get the ball out and it wasn't a duck, it was a decent pass and it was coming. He threw it hard.
Did you know after he won his first Super Bowl, the second season he got benched going into the regular season for another quarterback because Chuck Noll said he was playing like crap?
Yeah.
And then he won it again that year though, but he got benched at first.
Noll's classic. God,
that was back in the days though, where before all the mega billion-dollar contracts, and you could bench your quarterback. Nowadays,
dude, sit down. You know what? You're gonna sit there for a couple. I got this other guy over here. He can throw almost as good as you. We're fine.
I tell you what, as a Cowboy fan, there are times in that daggum last game, it's like put Rush in because he had led the team well earlier in the season. When your quarterback's doing nothing but turning the ball over again. Nowadays it's you're that's the one position you never bench the starter, and it's this accepted theory. But why? Right, yeah. I don't like that, because at the end of the day, are you trying to win the game or just protect somebody's feeling because you pay them a lot of money? And I really think that some teams do a disservice. Sometimes you need to sit the quarterback down. Either it sends a message, or they can sit there and watch what the game's doing from the sideline, or maybe the other guy comes in and gets it hot. Because, especially when you hit the playoffs, there's no tomorrow, if you lose. So,
yeah, I know this Phantom Outsider. This is the greatest information ever. I loved. Oh wait, you just moved off.
I'm using a new mouse right now.
Oh, okay,
that's true. Yeah, Phil Robertson.
Phil Roberts, man, and that guy's a genius, right? So if he and Bradshaw were in that same quarterback room, there were some smart guys sitting there together.
Phil Robertson was. Look, they tried. The NFL. Al Davis tried to get him, and he wouldn't go. He tried to get Phil Robinson to play, and that's why then Bradshaw came after him.
Too smart.
Louisiana Tech. That's for Louisiana Tech.
Yeah. Brian Hubbard says that Bradshaw said he barely remembers the big games and more from people telling him about them than himself.
Yet he's still alive.
And he doesn't remember at all from all the hits. Yeah. Well, Roger Staubach retired because of the concussions and stuff. It cut a lot of careers short.
America. Roger the Dodger. That was the Cowboys I loved with Roger.
Mm-hmm.
I loved him in the 70s.
He still served his 3 or 5 year commitment to the Navy, and then came back to the NFL. You know.
Yes, sir. And then played 10 years and got 2 Super Bowls. Played in 4, got 2 championships.
Yeah, we had a discussion last week, Culture, Clobby and I did, and Ash, about your backup quarterbacks. You know, last week that happened in the San Francisco Philadelphia game. San Francisco went in, the starters out already. The guy starting, Purdy, gets hurt, so the backup comes in. Then he gets a concussion. You know, not carrying 3 quarterbacks at this time of year in the playoffs is a dangerous thing, and we saw that last week with the Niners, because they basically went into just handing off the whole game. What do you think about how many quarterbacks you should have on the roster?
You know, if you had Tom Tupa, you wouldn't have to worry about that.
I was thinking Danny White, but that's a good name for the past.
Tom Tupa.
Yeah,
you know he got the first 2-point conversion in the NFL. Sorry, go ahead. Just don't trivia. Go ahead.
I no, but it wouldn't surprise me. What else wouldn't surprise me is the fact that dude could throw the ball with the best of them, and he could kick the ball with the best.
Danny White.
Yeah. And so there's a handful of guys that if you can get them to do both things, it's a win, you know, because then you don't have to carry that third quarterback. But,
that's true. Get a punter who can play football, play quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. So go looking for that utility player, right? You want him in baseball. You need him in football. You know, you need a guy that can play middle and outside linebacker. You need utility players, you know, to be in your secondary positions or the tertiary positions, to be honest with you. But I think it is rather dangerous not to have a third option. You know, and a lot of teams have done it. But again, if you've got a utility guy in the room, it don't matter. But when you get to, now that we're doing 17 regular season games, you might want to carry that third guy, or you might want to have a running back or a receiver that also played a little bit of quarterback. And those guys are around too. I mean,
but the problem is what they did last week was McCaffrey was the backup, the third quarterback, but
they just throw stripes, man. Holy cow.
But he only attempted one pass, though. They only let him throw one pass, and the whole second half was like handoff. I mean, like Clobby, we talked about last week. It was just like,
it was a give up game.
It was just sad to watch, a whole half with that. But that's dangerous, you know. Why teams do that, I don't know. A lot of teams carry 3.
If you got, like I said, but if you've got a McCaffrey, if you've got a receiver or a running back that has had quite a bit of experience at quarterback, I mean, I can see you not carrying 3, but carrying 3 seems like a no-brainer now. Again, because of the length of the season. We're going to end up with 18 regular season games here shortly. Yeah. I mean, let's not fool ourselves.
Could be.
You know.
So would you think that they'll? I know Clobby thinks that they should get rid of the preseason completely. Do you see maybe the league ever getting rid of preseason games?
I think you need cross scrimmage during cross team scrimmage during preseason during camps. I think if you can do that, get a couple of those types of things together, you'd be good. So if you have like a few regional teams that have camps at the same time and they can, you know, send guys over to, you know, 7-on-7 with another team or whatever, I think you could probably get away with 1 or 2 preseason games. The problem is there are 3 reasons why preseason is important, in my opinion. One of them is conditioning, because even if you have all those mandatory mini camps or the non-mandatory camps or whatever, you still are going to have guys come in there not in football shape. Number 1. Number 2, which means they're going to get hurt. I mean, you know, you're going to pull a hammy in the camp and all that. But and then you got the second thing, the second reason that they're important is because you got to start installing an offense. And because we have such abbreviated time frames when we have the coaching carousel happen, you're not going to get enough time with everybody to put that in place. So your first 2 games that count of the year are going to end up looking like preseason games, whether you want them to or not. You're going to have teams that'll start off very, very slowly, even though they might be contenders, and you know, maybe they get early eliminated, even though we've added an extra playoff. But I feel like that's the second reason. And the third reason is evaluation. I think you're going to have to see cross teams scrimmage at a very minimum, because you have to do player evaluation in 2 weeks isn't long enough. even a camp. I mean, you can watch a guy in a camp and he performs balls out, but in a game situation, if he gets bumped, is he going to be able to bring the ball in on a pass? Is the running back going to be able to hit pads but not bodies? See, that's these are there's concepts involved here. That's why the tackling robot bologna sausage doesn't work well. Not work out.
I think of it more from the for fans perspective. You pay full price for exhibition games that don't mean anything.
I don't think they should charge. I think the season ticket holder should not be charged a dime for preseason.
It's an absolute scam.
And I think preseason tickets for any fan should be no more than $4 a seat. First of all, you populate the stadium in full. Second, you make a boatload in commissions. You'll have full stadiums for terrible teams.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, because Tampa's going to be ridiculously bad next year. Let's not lie about it. Right.
True.
So you're a fan. Right? So you're not going to, there's no incentive to have season tickets now that there's no Tom. There still will be, of course, because nobody usually gives them up. But the regular fans out there that don't have season tickets and go to 4, 5, 6 games a year tops, those people, you want to get them into more games. You want them to spend more money on memorabilia and all of that. And you want them to, buy some beverages and food items. $4 a game for those preseason things, man, you'll pack those stadiums. It'll be a welcome change, to be honest with you. Because I remember when we had season tickets to the local sports teams, preseason was a giveaway. I mean, it's like, hey, you guys want to go to a game in friggin' August? No.
No. Same here. I was a season ticket holder of the Saints for years, many, many years ago. And we went to a preseason once or twice, but it was a ripoff, man. It's useless. It's not a real game.
It doesn't work. It
does not work. Well, y'all still here? I almost hit the wrong button.
Yeah, but we're here.
This stupid mouse is give me fits. It's like it's Renegade. I sent Ash a DM the other day, and my 2 keyboard went possessed during the 24-hour stream.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, but I like it's shame Snort of Poop isn't still here. Phantom Outsider said all you really need is a front 4 of polar bears and 3 cheetahs to take down receivers. So that is good. I am trying to find something before we're going to go ahead and wrap up, but I'm trying to find my poll. Oh, there it is. We got 14 votes.
Nice.
Let me see. Let me see if I can open it over here, though. I'm on the Mrs. computer now. Oh, there we go. All right. Clobby, Culture, y'all said KC. Ash said KFC. I said the Eagles. Well, the poll, 43% picked the Chiefs. Hey. 14% take Philly. 21% tied the commercials they're not going to watch. How about that?
42% are not even going to bother.
There you go.
This is going to be the biggest Super Bowl game we've seen in the last 3 years as far as audience.
Yes, I think so.
But you still have a significant portion of the population, 2/3 of the United States, will not care nor watch this game. So there you are.
Yep.
Some of them even going to Super Bowl parties.
Yeah.
Remember, they're not like they're sitting at home individually all watching it. They might go to a Super. Do you count them as a viewer if 40 people are at one house? I mean,
yeah, they have a mathematical formula for doing that. But yeah.
How do they gauge it, though? But who knows how many people go to each place? I mean,
yeah. I like what Brian says. His pick is taking the rest by 10.
That's a good bet. Don't bet. I don't think you should bet the over on this one, but that could be me.
Yeah. Well, shoot. You know what? Unfortunately, I don't have slides ready that I was going to do on going out. So I'm going to check on something. Culture. Why don't you talk about yourself a little bit in case anybody doesn't know you? What do you do?
I know almost everybody in the audience, but hi. And in case you're watching on the replay, I'm Culture Casino. I have a YouTube, Odyssey, and Rumble channel. on each of those. I got also a DIY channel that I need to start doing more videos for, which it's just about like editing videos to put up. And then I've got a gaming channel that I'm actually going to start playing Hogwarts Legacy tomorrow on. So there's that. But no, you can find me on YouTube primarily during the weekdays, especially for the 6-minute daily, and at least one video per weekday. And then, of course, I've got guest appearances everywhere, including here. And I got a Minds, a Getter, a Twitter, and they're all the same thing. Everything's at Culture Casino with no space, so you should be able to find me everywhere pretty easily.
Yep. Ash, my friend, thank you for being here.
Of course.
So what about you right now?
Well, at the moment, all my time is occupied by university. But when I'm not at university, I do have a gaming channel that is dead at the moment, but will be revived one day. Who knows how many months or years that will be? But it's Ash Singh here on YouTube, and my Twitter is Ash Singh 1, and I'm way more active on Twitter than YouTube naturally. But yeah, and I'm about, and I'll be on other streams here, there, and everywhere, and you can catch me on Twitter for whenever I go live on who stream and doing what. So yeah.
Well, I will tell you, my friend, one of the greatest compliments to you is our friend Clobby here. You're now the people that leave 10-part reviews on Trek episodes are now known as Ash Picks. So
yeah,
yes, he knows. You started the Ash Pick on Saturday Night Star Trek.
Yeah, many moons ago.
Well, there's so many people showing up for it now, Ash. I've had to ask them to tone them down to 5 segments when they review an episode in the chat. Because it takes forever, man. What's that?
Yeah.
So if I pop back, would I still be allowed to do 10?
You will have carte blanche to do 10.
Yeah.
I just say, like, send them to me. If you have a review, you just send them to me like as a private message, and I'll just send you. But I really had to cut them down to 5 because, I mean, you know how many I get now. Oh, God, yeah, it takes forever. Because I have to read them all. Raquel stars them while I'm reading them, and, just takes some time. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we still have a lot of fun there, but we miss you.
Nice.
And Clobby, what's up with you?
Well, in about half an hour, I'll be over there at Nick's, hanging out with Nick and buddy Nick Weiser for the Friday Night Comic Shop Talk. We'll all be reviewing, the boys and I, reviewing Infinity Gauntlet number 6, and then the classic by Jim Starlin, and then let's see here, tomorrow night, Saturday Night Star Trek. We're starting, as you know, our ongoing mission to review all of real Star Trek with my wonderful first officer, Raquel Briggs. We're starting with season 5 of Star Trek Deep Space Nine, 4 more episodes, like we always do. So we're getting there. We only it's going to take a couple of more years, obviously, to do all the real Trek, which is 66 through 05, the only Trek that is legitimate Star Trek. And then I'll be with Mark at this Geekery tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern, and then I have 2 shows Monday night. Mark C. Comics Talk, a special Bob Haney review at 6. Wacky World of Bob Haney review. Reviewing one of this Superman month on Clobberin Times, and we're gonna review 2 different review a comic there with my buddy J-Man, and then at 9 again reviewing Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons' classic Superman annual number 11 with my buddy Carlos from Comics Mania. So,
all right. Well, thank you. Always a blast, and we may or may not be around next Friday, but we'll see what happens. And it's always great hanging with each and every one of y'all. And thank you for your time tonight. As you know, I'm Dadman Walking 55. The best way to keep up with me is on Twitter. That's the latest where channel events go out. Sadly, I don't have some slides tonight because of the technical difficulty where I had to switch computers. Thanks to the great Mrs. Dadman Walking. She's going to pull the slide up for me right now. So I could not do this operation without my wonderful, not even tech support. She's more than that. She's a wonderful, wonderful spouse, and she's going to pull something up for us. But later tonight, I should be on with Mark D with a C, playing Late Night Fortnite. Come step late with us. Huh?
Isn't he out of town?
I don't know. I hadn't heard from him, but if not, I'll probably be going live for Fortnite later. So cool. I'll DM him and see what's going on. But he's still having the Geekery Sunday night, right?
Yes, which will be later because of the Super Bowl, probably. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So we'll definitely be doing that on Sunday night. like I said, keep an eye on Twitter for the latest announcements, whether we go live on YouTube or Twitch. But we are going to do something on Tuesday night. Tuesday night's Valentine's Day. And go ahead, hit it. Ta-da! We're doing a special date night Fortnite with the missus and me on Tuesday night at 7 p.m. And hey, why not celebrate Valentine's Day by blowing stuff up and causing carnage and chaos? So,
of course, why not?
Exactly. So that's our next event. They'll be mostly off and on gaming at times for the next few weeks. We will have some other shows, but like I said, watch Twitter. That's where things will be announced. But and occasionally maybe an appearance here or there is what's up here. But check Twitter, DadmanWalking55. We're DadmanWalking55 everywhere. Like Culture said, it's easier to keep it all the same on Twitch, YouTube here. And I will say, I will. If Mark, if he is out of town, I will do something later tonight because, you know, what was strange in the 24-hour stream last week, our 1 to 4 block of Fortnite, I had over 100 views. It was like, dang. It was like, okay, so hey, but hey, thank you all for being here. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, that's a remember. Thanks for reminding me of that Fandom Outsiders. So, but on that note, Clobby, as always, Culture, thank you so much for so much of your time tonight. It's always an honor to have you on because I know you're so busy. Ash, thank you for staying up to what, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning over there.
Oh yeah, it's 2 a.m. I'll be going straight to sleep after this.
Wow.
Absolutely. But thanks for hanging out with us. And Clobby, it's always great, my friend.
Thank you.
I consider y'all friends, models to stream after. And just thank you for being here. Thank you all in the chat. Thank you for your feedback tonight, for participating. And on that note, I will say good night, everybody. Take care. Bye. Enjoy the game.
Good night. Take care, everyone.
Night, everybody.